Hi everybody and welcome back to the BizTech Academy's Excel Beginners course. Today we're going to start with lesson 1. We're going to learn how to navigate around Excel, the application itself and the standard workbook. And we're also going to create, name and save our first file ready for the course project Tokyo Inc. So without further ado, if you're ready, let's get started. Okay, the first thing to do is to open up Excel. Find it on your desktop or in your applications folder. Double click on the application, and that should open up the menu, the main menu for Excel. It should look something like this. As you can see here, there's quite a large number of templates that Excel has provided for certain purposes. We're going to ignore those for the purpose of this particular course. We want a blank spreadsheet, and we can then just work through that and go through the training. So top left hand corner where it says blank workbook, double click on that and that should open a blank file for us to start with. Okay, with Excel open, I'll now give you a thorough understanding of the navigation of an Excel workbook. It's worth noting that in the past, in the introduction, we've been using the term spreadsheet, and it is generically a spreadsheet. However, the terminology for an open file would be that we have a workbook open. The workbook is made up of a number of sheets. And as you can see at the bottom here, bottom left, there is sheet 1. We have one sheet open within our workbook. If we wanted to open other sheets, we would just press the plus button next to where it says sheet 1. As you can see, it then generates another sheet called sheet 2. We don't want to do that in this particular exercise or this particular project. We're not going to go that complicated, but as you get more advanced and try other things, you'll probably create multiple sheets within a workbook and link them together so they do different things and different parts of the larger analysis that you are doing. Each worksheet is made up of a number of areas, and we're going to talk about those in a moment. The main body, some of the menus here, as well as some of the functionality at the bottom of the workbook as well, the worksheet as well. To start with, if we look at the body, you can see that it's covered or encircled by a number of letters and a number of numbers, and these are columns and rows. A spreadsheet, a workbook, a worksheet like this is made up of a series of columns and a series of rows. Each column, A, B, C, D, if you click on the letters, it highlights the whole column, and then the rows 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. They do vertical and horizontal intersections or coordinates, and if we click on a particular box from now on, which it will term cell. Each of these areas is called a cell. You can see that they are a midpoint to the column and to the row. In this particular cell, it is where column D intersects with row 6. And the reference to that cell, therefore, will be known as D6. And if you click on this cell here, you can see that the intersection is G and 4, and therefore this cell is G4. If you're under any, if you're unsure at all which cell you're in, you can see in the top left here that it's referenced G4. And if I again click on the top one, A1, you can see it changes to A1. That name there tells you which cell you're in, and that's important because you're going to need to know cell references for many parts of functionality, including things like formulas, and again, which I'll talk about as we go through this course. The other thing you can do with these cells is you can create a range of cells. So, for example, if you are here, if you click that highlight that range with your mouse there, click on your mouse and highlight it, you can see that the top left-hand cell is B4, and the bottom right-hand cell here is E9, and it is those two cells, the top left and the bottom right, that are used to reference the range. So this range will be known as B4 E9, or more specifically B4 colon E9. That is what the range of this particular area is. And again, if we took another one, if we take the small box here, this range would be C11 colon D13. Now, if you want to, you can name ranges. If I right-click on this range, you can see there's an item that says define name. If I just call this, just for argument's sake, range 1, and I name it, that range will be now known as name 1. And if I click on the box here, you can see it says range 1. If I go on to A3 and then click these arrows, I can see range 1 is listed. I can click on it, and range 1 will be highlighted. This is very useful if you're setting print areas or you want to just partition certain areas off. And again, we'll look at some of this as we go through this course. The next area we'll look at is the top bit here. Now, what you've got here is a couple of toolbars. At the top, you've got different menus. You've got a file menu, an edit menu, a view menu, and along these particular areas, there are a number of different pieces of functionality that some will use, some won't, and will be useful as you go through, your usage of Excel. You'll also find there's some duplications. Some of the items on the top menus are also within the bottom area here, and so on. So this particular top area has a list of sub functions. The top green bar here is what's called a toolbar. This is a customizable toolbar. What Excel has done here is added a number of very common functions that which it believes that individuals will use as they go through through everyday spreadsheets. They have a home function, a save function, undo, and so on. This is, like I say, customizable. So if you wanted to add more commands, you would just click on the three dots at the top and then add more commands. You can see here it says quick access toolbar, which is what we're on. And let's say we wanted to add email because we're doing a lot of emailing with our spreadsheets. We would just cut that across to here. We press save, and as you can see at the top now, the email icon has come up there, and it will open up the functionality to send an email from a spreadsheet at any time you want to do that. This bottom area here, this sort of grey area with lots of different icons on, this is what's called a ribbon. And you can see at the top here, home, insert, draw, and so on. These are all different ribbons. So if you click on these, they're all different areas of functionality with icons associated with these particular generic types of activity. And you can see they mirror some of the top ones here. So edit, for example, here, and then you have insert and draw here. If you had insert there, for example, some of these particular activities are the same ones that are on here. To be honest with you, I think you'll find that the ribbon area is what you'll use the most. You can customize these to some extent, and you can also add your own ribbons. But in truth, Excel's quite intelligent, and it's grouped up a large number of very commonly used functions within these ribbons that you'll tend to use and not modify at all. The other thing to know about the ribbons is that they are grouped. So if you can, for example, in the home ribbon here, you can see there's a little faint line between this particular area here and this area here, and then this area here. And these particular groups of icons within these areas are all similar in functionality. So if you look at just this one here, between that and that, you can see here that there's a lot of text stuff. You can change fonts. So if you click on here, there's a large number of fonts you could choose from. You could change the size of your text. You can use these buttons also to change the size of your text. You could make something bold. You could do it italic. You could do underline. Again, there's other types of underlining if you wanted to. You could add borders. If so wish, you could add the background color of the cell. You could also change the color of the font. So all sort of font stuff and cell stuff formatting stuff is added to there, and you'll find a common theme as you go through this. And again, as we go through the course, we'll use a lot of these, and you'll see how they work, and you'll start to use them more and more often. The other thing to look at is scrolling. You can see here on the far right, there's a vertical scroll bar. On the bottom, there's a horizontal scroll bar, and this would take you up and down the spreadsheet. The scroll bars will increase in size if we had data that went further down the spreadsheet. With a Windows machine, you can also scroll across with your mouse wheel, and with a Mac, you can use two fingers to scroll up and down as required. Another really important piece of functionality here is the zoom bar. Right at the bottom here, you can, as you say, you can click on this, you can scroll in and out, so you can make the cells or the worksheet itself smaller and larger. This is really useful when you're using larger screens, or if you have bad eyesight, or you just want to look at more detail at a formula, for example. Very useful area. That I will use that quite often to zoom into areas when I'm showing you this in the training course. Finally, there's a row up here. We looked at the name or the name box before, but you can see there's an X and a tick here. If we put something in a cell, some data in a cell, you can see the X and the tick are highlighted. This basically is an enter and a cancel button that allows you to accept the data in the cell. And again, we'll talk about inputting data into cells in a little while, in lesson 2. But in truth, you don't tend to use those two. Really, what you would use is your enter button on your keyboard. In fact, your keyboard and your mouse are really the key tools for entering and playing with data in a spreadsheet. And if you can use keyboard shortcuts, and I'll show you a number of them, it just makes operating a workbook a lot more efficient. The other final thing here is this particular bar here, which is a formula bar. This is used to import and edit formulas. We'll see this in lesson 3, and you'll also use that a great deal through your time with working with Excel, especially for either importing formulas or even checking for errors and such like. Okay, that's really it around the navigation. The final thing to do is to create and save and name the workbook. If you want to follow through on this, this is section 3 in the walkthrough. And this whole lesson 1 takes you through to the end of section 3. But simply, we're going to save and name our workbook, ready for opening again for lesson 2. And we'll go from there. So basically, look at file at the top left, click on that, press Save As. This dialog box will come up here. You can see that this highlighted Book 9, this is the default title that the Excel has given this workbook. This is because I've had a number of workbooks open. Yours probably says Book 1. I would suggest you just change it to something like Tokyo Inc. Just to put Tokyo _ Inc. And then put it into documents. I'm going to save on into documents, and just press save. There you go. And then you can see at the top left here, sorry, top middle, sorry, you can see that the title of the workbook has now been changed from Sheet 9 to Tokyo Inc. And you'll be able to find that in your documents file. The final thing I want to show you is the autosave function. If you've used any form of software before, you'll know that if you don't save your data and your computer crashes or you have a power cut or something, you'll end up losing your data. So the autosave function is something I always use. If you click it on from off onto on, here I have to upload my data just simply because of where I'm saving it. Some of you may see this, some of you may not. If you do press upload, if you don't, you'll see that it's just gone straight away to on, and you can see off and on there. And what that means is that whenever you do something in the workbook, it will automatically be saved and you'll have no risk of losing your data. Okay, that's it for lesson 1. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, obviously, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Lesson 2 is coming, which will be data input. And in the meantime, have a great day, and I'll talk to you very soon.